10 westerns I knew would be masterpieces after the first 10 minutes. Sometimes it's clear right from the opening minutes of a western film that a movie is destined to be a genuine masterpiece. Through the perfect combination of atmosphere, characterization, and music, certain releases arrive fully formed and tell you everything that you need to know in the first 10 minutes. Many of the best western movies of all time started strong and got better from there. From iconic introductions to characters like Clint Eastwood's A Man with No Name to slow-burn sequences that set the scene for western legends to share the screen together, there are plenty of western movie masterpieces that solidified their legacy in the first few minutes. Rio Bravo, 1959. Howard Hawks' iconic western Rio Bravo brought two legends together as John Wayne shared the screen with Dean Martin. This story of a Texan sheriff holding off a rancher's gang long enough for the U.S. Marshal to arrive after he's arrested the rancher's murderous brother was called the greatest hangout movie of all time by director Quentin Tarantino. Rio Bravo set the tone right from the get-go, and it's clear from the film's opening minutes that audiences were in for a good time. What starts in a dimly lit saloon soon turns into an intense face-off as slow-building tension erupts into an old-fashioned bar brawl that ends with Joe Burdett shooting and killing an innocent bystander. A Fistful of Dollars, 1964. The opening seconds of A Fistful of Dollars already solidified this Sergio Leone classic as a genuine masterpiece. With a recognizable whistling of Ennio Morricone's all-time great soundtrack and an animated sequence of cowboys on horseback, Leone immediately captured the unique appeal of the spaghetti western genre, and things only got better from there. Then we're introduced to the gritty antihero The Man with No Name for the first time, and from that moment onward, Clint Eastwood was eternally a western movie icon. As the first and perhaps the greatest western movie series of all time, its status as a hugely influential masterpiece was on display right from the start. Django Unchained, 2012. Having already injected new energy into the blaxploitation, crime, and kung fu genres, Quentin Tarantino turned his sights toward the western with Django Unchained. Kicking off with shackled slaves being driven across the American frontier to an epic soundtrack influenced by classic spaghetti westerns, it was clear from the beginning that this film would blend classic tropes with modern flair. Slavery has long been a taboo subject in the western genre, but Tarantino tackled it head-on in a revenge story that sharply satirized America's dark past. While Django, Jamie Foxx, was presented as subjugated and powerless, the epic background music lets viewers know his destiny is to become a classic western antihero. The Searchers, 1956. John Ford The Searchers is one of the most acclaimed and influential movies of all time, and its status as an all-time great western was on display right from the start. With picturesque imagery, Ford's mastery of cinema was apparent as the film opened with Ethan Edwards, John Wayne, returning home after an 8-year absence. By portraying Wayne as an almost mythical figure, the uncertain past of Ethan and his time fighting for the Confederacy during the Civil War made him an intriguing Western hero. Right from the beginning, The Searchers showcases the Edwards as a loving family, which makes his later quest to rescue his niece from Native Americans all the more impactful. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, 2007. While its title may be long, it only took a moment to recognize the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford as a modern Western masterpiece. The film starts with a haunting narration as a voiceover speaks about the legacy of Jesse James and his status as one of the most notorious outlaws there has ever been. As a beautifully crafted period piece that wasn't afraid to take its time, The Assassination of Jesse James positioned itself as an artful Western movie and a masterpiece of the genre. With incredible characters, Oscar-worthy performances, and a literary sensibility, this Western triumph was a contemplative exploration of Wild West outlaws. High Noon, 1952. The stylish black-and-white Western High Noon stands as one of the genre's most important releases, as its real-time narrative was a masterclass in slow-building tension. Telling the story of a town marshal whose sense of duty is tested when he must decide whether to face a gang of criminals alone or split town and save himself. High Noon kicks off with the three outlaws making their way into town to challenge Marshal Will Kane to a duel just as his married his love, Amy Fowler, and is getting ready to retire. As a story about the importance of honor and standing up for what's right even in the face of certain death, High Noon remains powerful. Shane, 1953. Shane tells the story of a mysterious gunslinger with an uncertain past, and it begins with him riding into a quiet valley. With a striking shot of a day peacefully sipping water, the film immediately establishes a serene atmosphere while hinting at the potential for Shane's arrival to disturb this mellow environment. By opening on such calm beauty, Shane not only captures the grandeur of the American landscape, but also foreshadows how quickly that harmony can fall apart. While things would get more intense as Shane enters a conflict between poor homesteaders and wealthy ranchers, this contemplative and quiet opening sets the scene for all that's about to come. 3:10 to Yuma, 2007. Remaking a classic movie is always a risky endeavor. However, director James Mangold actually managed to improve on the 1957 original when he made 3:10 to Yuma. With two outstanding lead performances from Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, this remains one of the greatest westerns of the 21st century. The opening scene starts off strong with the poor rancher Dan Evans, Bale, witnessing his barn being burnt by cronies of the local banker Glenn Hollander. As the family struggles to save their cattle from certain death, the stakes are already sky-high before the ruthless outlaw Ben Wade, Crowe, even arrives on the scene Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968. Few Western filmmakers knew how to create an atmosphere quite like Sergio Leone, and this was readily apparent from the opening minutes of Once Upon a Time in the West. What starts with an elderly train attendant nervously encountering outlaws at a dusty train station becomes a masterclass in slow-building tension as a lingering camera amplifies every moment. Although there's very little dialogue, the first few minutes of Once Upon a Time in the West quickly paint a portrait of a world populated by dangerous outlaws and cunning crooks. This deliberate pacing draws viewers in and ingratiates us into the style and feel of this nearly 3-hour epic. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. By the time The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was released, Western movie fans were already well aware of Sergio Leone and Clint Eastwood's status as icons of the genre. Having developed a style that was totally their own, the music of Ennio Morricone had become inseparable from their films and perfectly captured the spirit of the Old West. Following an enjoyable opening credit sequence, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly starts with a tense Western standoff that sets the scene for all that's to follow. While Eastwood is nowhere to be seen at first, his absence mainly